Hello YouTube. I'll tell you today about a very interesting archaeological discovery that took place in Russia. It's the Upper Paleolithic site of Khatyleva II, situated 400 kilometers south-southwest of Moscow and 25 kilometers northwest of the city of Bryansk. The site was actually discovered in 1968 by Fyodor Zavernyaev. The sacred site of the Paleolithic era, discovered at the Upper Paleolithic site of Khatyleva II, is a unique archaeological monument that allows us to more deeply understand the life and religious rituals of ancient people, or it allowed us to pretend that we understand life and religious rituals of ancient people and their customs and their way of life, because I don't think we do. Research conducted by specialists of the Institute of Archeology of the Russian Academy of Sciences permitted us to learn a lot of new and interesting things about the object. During the 18 years of work at the Khatyleva II campsite, so to say, archaeologists have collected a huge collection of finds, mammoth bones, flint products, ornate bone artifacts, and Paleolithic Venus, female statuettes, in my other videos about archaeological discoveries in Russia. I have already described other fascinating Venuses. Well, the Venus found in the Khatyleva II site is made of ivory. All these objects were located around the recessed hearth, which was the central part of the site. The hearth had a square shape with lined sides and was covered with a mammoth's skull. The ritual significance of these finds and the peculiarities of the location of objects indicate that this place had a ritual significance for ancient people. They brought art objects, tools, and processed animal bones here, laid them in a special sequence, and apparently performed some kind of rituals. After that, the hearth was cleaned, filled with cooled coal, and a mammoth skull was placed on it. Now we cannot say for sure if it was a reusable campsite or if people came here only once to perform a ritual. This question can be answered when we fully explore and excavate this complex. But now we have evidence that the cultural layer on this site accumulated in several stages, and most likely the site was visited several times. During the last visit, these people closed the hearth, laid out objects important to them around it, and finally went to another place. That's what Konstantin Gavrilov said. And Konstantin Gavrilov, PhD, senior researcher of the Stone Age Department, Institute of Archeology of the Russian Academy of Sciences. And according to him, the finds indicate that people who visited this place once or maybe lived here permanently, but never returned. Since 2005, Russian archaeologists have been studying this site, where a complex of archaeological sites is located. Large accumulations of mammoth bones, pits sprinkled with ochre, accumulations of bone, coal, flint tools, dug-in skulls and bones of animals, mammoth, brown bear. Works of primitive art were discovered here, 2 female and 1 male statuettes, as well as carved from mammoth bone and decorated with ornaments made of bone. The archaeologist says that the exceptionally rare Venus figurine is made from a mammoth's tusk, and it portrays a fat, perhaps pregnant woman with a big belly and bust. Part of the bust and belly has peeled off along a natural crack in the tusk. The figurine was found near large limestone layers and parts of mammoth bones that were coated with mineral sienna, that's iron and manganese oxide paint. Most likely the statuette was placed next to the bones on the ground rather than buried like other Venus figurines. The location of the objects indicated that they were not just thrown, but laid on purpose, according to a special plan. Almost all of them lay on the ochre dusted ground. Some were covered with mammoth bones on top. At the same time, all the pits dug in mammoth bones and special finds form an oval, in the center of which there was a large accumulation of bone, coal, and ash, animal bones, and a so-called ash pit. All this suggested that certain actions of a sacred nature were performed at this site, which were accompanied by a ritual meal, cooking and eating meat of slaughtered animals, including a mammoth. Similar examples have been found in Siberia, notably close to the Angara River, near Lake Baikal. But the most recent analysis suggests that these were in fact clothed, contrary to earlier examinations, and evidently unlike the new find from the Khatylova II site in the Bryansk region. Radiocarbon analysis suggests tribes of hunters and gatherers lived there 21,000 to 24,000 years ago. Scientists have found numerous bones of mammoths, bisons, like I said, as well as the flint artifacts. Research in 2023 confirmed the hypothesis based on the materials of previous excavations. The center of the ritual site was the Hearth, which archaeologists uncovered under the ash pit. It consisted of a deepened pit along the upper part of which the sides were laid out, probably from the soil that was removed when digging the pit. To date, it is not very clear, how these sides were formed and what prevented the clay laid down along the edge from flowing down. It is possible that there was another structure in the hearth that formed the square shape of the upper part. The hunter's campsite, Khatylova II, belongs to the cultural community of the Eastern Gravet, a group of monuments of the Upper Paleolithic age from 20 to 28,000 years ago. At that time, the glacier had already retreated to the north, and the Eastern European plain was covered with forest steppes, savannas, inhabited by mammoths, bison, reindeer, and brown bears. Now, the people who inhabited these places were hunters and moved from one campsite to another, from one location to another. Following the seasonal migrations of animals, studies have shown that sacred actions were really performed at the Khatylova II site. So, we don't know if this was a reusable campsite, so to say, or whether it was a permanent sanctuary. I think there will be final conclusions made after a full study and excavation of this complex. I am really fascinated by these Venus figurines that are being found in other locations in Russia, in particular in Eurasia, and we will stay tuned, so to say, to the upcoming discoveries in Russian archaeology, in Chinese archaeology, and I'll bring you up on this information. If you like my research, you can support me through the links you'll find in the description to this video. Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and tell others about my work. Thank you.